it's Melissa on a really dreary, overcast, wintry day, so the light is not good, but I wanted to show you what I'm intending to do with my layout today. I have this photo, and I've already scrapped one that I took from the side looking at the three of them, and I've had these photos for years and they've been really difficult to scrap because I think they were taken at night, so the colours aren't great. They're unedited because back then I didn't really know how to edit, and so what I've found is I've worked perfectly with the Belle kit. So this could possibly be my last project with the Belle kit. What I've pulled out, where I started from with this, are the cards that Renelle put in the pocket, the pretty little kit, the Pocket Life kit. So these are them here, and they are basically the papers, and they're double-sided. So what I'm thinking of doing is building my layout based on these. If you hear crying in the background, I'm sorry. One of my children is having a tantrum with Dad, I think. I've also got the stencils, the Chamel stencils. I have used that one, but I want to try and use the big heart as well. I've got the gold acrylic paint, and I hadn't even opened this. This is the Kaiser Iridescent Spray Ink in Peach, so I want to use them. I have had my eye on this title for a long time as well, Chipboard Hello Beautiful. This I think would be great for my journaling card because I'm going to get messy and these are pretty busy. I've got a large doily, a couple of cut aparts. I like the together. I also like the happiness right here and possibly some of the others. And I really struggle with flowers, but these are called Bitty Blooms. We'll see how I go. So that is my intention. I'm going to put you on fast forward and get started.
So the first thing I wanted to do was position these cards, and I'm looking at both sides of them because, like I said before, they are the 12 by 12 sheets that Renelle has cut down into 4 by 6 cards. So they have both the A and B sides, and so I'm just going through them and working out what looks best. So that chevron is too full on next to that floral, so I'm balancing it with that pink ombre paper, which is really, really pretty. And then I've got that confetti one on the right there, and when my layout progresses, you'll see that you can barely see any of that. But at this point, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I did think about positioning the blue card there, but it doesn't make it in that position. So I'm just going to glue these all down. You'll notice that I've got some gaps. I've left gaps of white cardstock on the edges, and I've also got some gaps between each horizontal piece. So just lifting them up, applying the glue and sticking them back down. I am trying to keep the glue off the edges of these pieces of paper because I want to machine stitch. I did think about machine stitching before I glued them down, but because I'm wanting to do some mixed media and use some texture paste through that stencil, I wasn't really sure how it would work if I stitched it to start with, so I'm just going to do it this way. So just making sure everything's glued down and pressing them down. And now I've got my photo. I need to trim off some of the top because the kitchen light is quite bright behind my husband's head. And then because I've got all three people positioned on the left hand side of the photo, it's not the best composition, so I want to trim a bit of the right side off. So it's not a true 4 by 6 anymore, but if you follow my scrapbooking, you'll know that I don't really care what size the photo is. It doesn't have to be a set prescribed size. It's whatever works with my page. So I'm backing it on white cardstock as always. I did think about using the blue, but I decided that I needed that visual separation between the pattern and the photo. And my camera is about to die here, and I didn't realise, but I've just got some texture paste, and then I'm mixing it up with the gold American Crafts acrylic paint that comes in the colour kit. And all you'll miss is me applying it through that stencil. So I just press it through with that ice cream stick. So it's now the next day, and the light is a lot better, as you can see. I've added my stitching. I have done that texture paste through the stencil so you can see the hearts there. And I'm just lifting the edges of the papers where I know that they'll be visible and the photo won't be covering them. And I'm really happy with how this is looking so far. I think I say in every video that I love these doilies that Renelle puts in the kit. So I don't want to waste anything, only half of it's going to be seen, so I've trimmed out the other half. And then I'm just trimming off the corners, I guess, where I've cut, because I don't want any of the doily to be above or below my photo. There's that journaling card that I'd shown you at the beginning. I thought it was perfect for my journaling because it has lines on it, and with all the busyness that's going on, it's nice to be able to contain my journaling on that card. I'm just gluing it down over that texture with paste. And one thing I will say is I've always wondered what it's like to sew through texture paste, and it's completely fine. It, I don't know, I thought my needle might have a problem with it, but no, it just went through like normal. So now I am using some of my craft foam with my double-sided tape, and I'll speed this next bit up, but what I do is try some of that liquid adhesive to glue it onto my papers, and it worked really well. I'm finding that I'm using this craft foam on every layout at the moment. I just like having my photo lifted up above all these layers. So I've glued that down, and I've got that little rubber charm, and it says best ever. I've got a few of these left, and I really need to make an effort to use them up. So I'm just putting that on the bottom of that journaling card, and I will build a cluster of embellishment around that. Now I'm gluing down my chipboard. They are adhesive backed, but I don't trust a chipboard in perpetuity. There's nothing wrong with these ones. They are really good quality, strong adhesive on them, but I just want to make sure that they're there forever. So now I've got this happiness right here cut apart, and I'm just trimming around the edge following the line of the watercolour wash, and I've decided I'm going to layer it over this doily, but the doily needs a bit more adhesive just so that it's not floating or curling up, and so that's what I've done. I've just put a little drop on each one. I found this heart from the ephemera. I'm not happy with the position in it there, but you'll see me move it soon. So now I am gluing this down. I did think about putting it up on that floral, but I think because it's got a directional arrow, the most important place for it, or the better place for it, is right there pointing at Azaria, who this layout is about. So I'm now using one of these leaves, and I've got one of the flare buttons. They are not flat backed, but they have a pop dot in the back, so I'm just adding a bit more glue to it for the same reason I did with the chipboard, really. And just now adhering these hearts, I put the bigger one, I put a Stampin' Up! Dimensional behind it. So that cut apart had several butterflies on it, and they are different to the butterflies on the back of the blue paper. They're more sketchy, and they've got like a pale watercolour wash. So I've just fussy cut out 4 of them. I'm gluing one side of each butterfly wing, and then I'll come in soon with a little pop dot and pop up the other side, and that's something I always do when I adhere butterflies like this. Now, in case you're wondering about the photo, I don't know if I said in my intro, but it's Azaria with Belle when Belle was probably maybe a couple of weeks old, if that, and it's just a really lovely photo of Sean holding both of them. And so my journaling, which I'll explain later, or you'll see later, is just a letter to Azaria, loving that, telling her that I love that she has a little sister now, and I hope that they'll be friends and play together. And so that's what I'm adding now. And you'll see that I have totally covered up that confetti type paper, but I didn't know at the time, so sometimes that can happen. You just have to think, well, I'm happier with how it looks without it. I'm adding some of that iridescent Kaisercraft splatter, and it does, when I take my photo at the end, I haven't let it completely dry, so it doesn't look iridescent, but it does, when it dries, it goes a lot paler and shiny. I'm adding some of those enamel dots, and you'll see that I've hardly got any left. And then my final touch is to add the remainder of my title, which is Big Sister. So the entire layout is Hello Beautiful Big Sister. And I'm using these Imaginesse vellum stickers. You do need to add extra adhesive, or as I've done, run it through my sewing machine to make sure they don't come up. So that is my final layout. I have some close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this process. I'm hoping that my next kit will be here this week, but if it's not, I think I can get one more project out of this Belle kit. Thank you so much for watching.